Hello and welcome. Good morning. And welcome to Amy Puget Sound's Coffee Talk series. We're live on Thursdays at 11 a.m. So if you're here live, it's Thursday at 11 a.m. And our guest today is my friend, Ashlan Glazier-Anderson. Hello. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Excellent. Ashlan is a full-time digital marketing manager at a nonprofit called InsideTrack. And alongside her full-time role, this month she celebrated the 1-year anniversary of her own digital marketing agency, AshbeanPDX Marketing. Yay! Congratulations.
Thank you.
She also serves as board chair of Betty's 360 and board member of the Willamette Valley Development Officers, as well as president of AMA Portland. And you made time for us this morning.
Yes.
How? We're going to talk about that.
Yes.
But how are you today?
I'm good. It's cold. It is, 33 degrees in Portland, so it is freezing.
And I'm just north of you, and it's 34. I'm in Renton, which is just outside Seattle. So, yeah, it's a little cold on the West Coast up in the Pacific Northwest today. We've got fog.
Yeah.
But today we're going to be talking about side hustles, having a full-time job. How do you do all of it? How do you keep yourself organized? How do you do it? So first of all, let's talk about your agency that you're running alongside your full-time role. Tell us about it. How did you get the name? What have you done? What projects have you done?
Yeah, so the name of the organization, actually AshbeanPDX, is my video gamer name handle. So if you're ever playing on anything like Among Us or, any PlayStation, Xbox game, you may run across me. I'm AshbeanPDX. And then I've been doing marketing for over 15 years, but I discovered marketing. I was really lucky. We had a marketing program as an elective in high school. And so I started studying it there. I remember they only offered one term of it, and I was like, I really like this. And so I got into a second term of it where the teacher was just basically letting me read out of his master's program book, like to continue in the program. And it really set me on my path to study that as my undergrad. And then later I went to University of Oregon's graduate school program in strategic communications. I have a master's in strategic communications because I was like, MBA, BA, like business administration, really similar things. Let's go learn, something tangential, but not too far away.
Right.
From that. And so in January of last year, I started with just one client. I had actually been talking to them in December, and they were one of many people that was like, hey, do you know anybody who does freelance marketing? And I was like, oh, what are you looking for? And I was like, I know how to do that. So that's how it became. So I was like, cool. Started with one client, and then, being that I'm in the American Marketing Association and Willamette Valley Development Officers, WVDO, here in Portland, I go to a lot of networking events. Back in January 2020, when I started this, we were still able to network in person. And as everything moved to Zoom, I was still kind of participating in these Zoom networking spaces. And once I formed the company, I was like, hey, I have this, like, if you ever know of anyone who is in need. And then I also did a little bit of, I set up a few like market research calls where I was like, hey, like what tends to be things that people need. I was looking specifically to help nonprofits who often the marketing function is shared between multiple people. So like an executive director and maybe their like ops manager are doing the marketing, or sometimes just the executive director is doing the marketing. And so I talked to a few of them of like, what are the things you need? And one of those conversations turned into my next client. And so I think she started with me in March, and it was kind of like figuring each other out, and then kind of got on a retainer basis starting in May. And then she was like, hey, are you open to taking on more? I have somebody to refer you to. And so everything has really happened organically in that way, or through networking and word of mouth. But that's how it started, and it's kind of taken off. Since then, I've been bringing on more clients, especially, in Q4 of last year, had a big client sign up. They are a virtual film school. They are in their they're looking for investment right now as a startup, and so they're one of the bigger folks that I am working with. But yeah, just being open to having conversations with folks and adapting to whatever their needs are for marketing is
Right.
how I've launched it. So yeah.
Awesome. That is so great. And the fact that momentum just keeps happening and then eventually,
Yes, eventually.
yes, the end goal.
Yes.
Yes, I love that I get to see this happen unfold. So it's really cool. And you've talked about getting clients and that it's happened very organically, word of mouth. I mean, anybody who's in sales, anybody who's done marketing, word of mouth is your bread and butter, honestly,
Mhm.
because you get that authentic testimonial from happy clients and their friends, family,
Mhm.
colleagues. They get to share. But what have you developed any strategies around, outside of word of mouth or incorporating word of mouth into it?
Into it. Yeah, I have a website that is in a staging phase. So being that I am a marketer, one of the things that I always grapple with is like I do marketing for others and I don't do a great job of doing all the things that I should be doing
Mhm.
as a business owner. That is one of my goals for this year is like get an earned website up, get your social media active. I would
Mhm.
say obviously, Julie, this is how I've ended up on this talk series was being active on LinkedIn. So I definitely, personally or, on my professional individual LinkedIn am very active and could do a much better job being active as, my company as well and generating followers there. But yeah, I have,
Mhm.
some lead magnets in the pipe that just need to be turned on, some, welcome email series and things like that. So I have definitely been thinking of like all the things that I tell my clients they should be doing and being like, okay, you're not doing any of those right now. So
And we've
goal, take
and
your
we've
own
talked
advice.
about what's that?
Oh, take your own advice that you're always giving. Yes.
Right, right. And this has been discussed several times on this show. We've even had an episode dedicated to like how to market yourself when you are a marketer. I think that's the hardest problem we have because as marketers, we're always looking for, what are the things that we can highlight about our client, about our company. What are the things that interest people? But when it comes to ourselves, it's so hard to toot our own horn. But to do it for somebody else, yeah, that's easy
It's
peasy.
easy. It's so much easier. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I would say that, because I've been able to generate so much through word of mouth and referrals, I have trained people to talk really well about what I do. So maybe I should just be like, hey, can you in 2 sentences describe what you would tell somebody and then
Yeah.
start putting those into the pipeline as well?
Yep. Yep. But you bring up, I mean, I don't know if anybody caught this. Because what you just said stood out is you're starting to train your friends, family, coworkers, people who support you. You're starting to train them into what you're looking for in clients.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Yes.
hope you all heard that.
Yes. I think the other thing to think about too is what you're not looking for.
Yes.
So I have had some people bring stuff to me that, I just politely say like, this is not in, the target sector of what I'm looking at doing. Thank you. So, also be thankful for that. Like,
Yeah.
thank you so much for thinking of me in any, marketing space. But also like that's,
Mhm.
I want to stay working with nonprofits and organizations that have a social good aspect to them just because it feels more authentic to who I am as a person and the work that I want to be doing. Like, I don't, I would sway far away from like political campaigns and just feel a
Right.
little like, oh gosh, what's the word for it? Just skeezy to me and be like, not really in my wheelhouse, not
Yeah.
really in my interest set. But it
Where
also
telemarketing comes up and you're like,
yes. Not
no,
yeah,
thank you.
yes.
We
I
have a
do not
landing
wanna
page though.
yeah. Or I don't cold emailing, mass text messaging, not really
Ugh.
not really things I do.
Makes me feel ugh.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't make you feel ugh, then you belong in sales because, and I don't mean that as a bad thing. I don't.
Mhm.
because we can't do the sales. We can give you the support, but we can't, we're more, I guess, not introverted. Not everybody's introverted, but it takes a certain personality to be a salesperson. And I think most of us marketers, I've tried many times, and I can't do it. But let me go at all of the marketing material to give to the sales department, and I'm having a ball.
Yes. Sales enablement. I'm very good on the sales enablement side.
Yes. Yes.
I also have a great piece of advice that somebody always, or Ellen Yin is somebody I admire who runs her own business as well. And she says, selling should feel like serving, not like, you're doing your service as a marketer to that person. You're not being that, used car salesman, like, here's all the things, or also not over promising what you're able to do for them. I think that's another approach that I really enjoy with my clients is like, hey, we haven't done this in the past. We're going to test and learn. Oh, that flopped. Cool. What did we learn from it? Not that it failed. We tried something, because if you don't ever try and do something, you're just never going to know.
Right.
If you never ask, the answer is always no, right? So you have to kind of do those processes and learn and set up a lot of that foundation. But now we're like, okay, cool. We tried a campaign. Here's what got positive feedback. Here's where we stepped in it a little bit. Like, how can we use that to advance the next one that we have?
Yep. And sometimes you have to just do that first one where it's hard to make the goals because you have no idea. Like, your end goal is just to get feedback. And sometimes there isn't a number to it. It's just, we just want to know where we're doing well, what we could be doing better, where we're failing. And sometimes open-ended questions, that is your measurement. And you have to be okay with that. That's okay. So what you've shared is really, really helpful about how you've found clients and how to find more clients. And it really just comes back to relationship building, it sounds like. We all know that. What's that?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah. So as I was saying earlier, when I was introducing you this, and this, and I know where you're coming from. When I was 10 years younger, I was doing stuff like that too. Now it's like, okay, I'm tired. Kids wore me down. And I don't know if anybody asked me how I did it, because I was on 2 boards. I was working full time. Our boys were babies. I was doing something else, and I was going to school. I don't know how I did it, but you're doing it in the process right now. So how are you doing it? And how would you advise others who want to give that kind of commitment to multiple people?
I think one of the things is, I live and die by my calendar. I hate that I am that person now, but I will send people my calendar link and be like, hey, if this is really important, like, please find, 30 minutes, an hour. Like, I want to give you my dedicated attention to this. But you need that, that structure around it. So I do use Calendly with Abandon. I always said that was like the best. I think it costs like $12 or $15 when I first bought it. Now I've bought it for a year and I will probabally, it's an expense that I will always use because it can also check multiple calendars. So it can check, I also compartmentalize things a lot. So I have an email address that has like all my AMA PDX things, and I have an email address for my business and an email address for my personal things, and an email address for like all the newsletters I subscribe to that I don't really want in any of those other places.
Yes.
So having, that, and then also, finding systems and tools that work for you. So I have, I use Microsoft's To-Do app, which is just, it's a list that doesn't, prioritize unless you put dates into it. But that's like my running to-do list. I switched. I am paperless now, but I bought a Remarkable 2, and it is a tablet that you can write all your notes in, and then my handwriting has gotten worse over time. So I tried the handwriting to Google Google Docs thing. Yeah, it doesn't catch it all, but at least
really?
yeah.
How is your
It doesn't
typing?
turn the text. So
Yeah.
I can either be better at my handwriting or can keep scribbling.
Mhm.
But at least I have, a digital record. And, I mean, I have coffee around me all the time. Like there's no risk of like, oh, okay, that notebook is like covered in coffee now and I don't know how to
Yep.
get all of that back. So switching to this as like a way to keep notes. And you
Mhm.
can also file different things, so I can
Mhm.
have notes on each client without having to like figure out where in my notebook that was. So
Mhm.
that has been like a really good organizational tool for
Mhm.
me. I also have like my planner and my calendar in there too, so at a glance I can be like, these are all the things that are happening in the day. I also am really realistic in what can be accomplished in any given day. So I have 6 things that I can put like check boxes. I use 3 check boxes on the left for what I want to do in my workday. Like what would I feel happy
Mhm.
accomplishing or what needs to get done today? And I put those 3 things there. And then on the right side, I put the 3 things for, it's kind of a combined like personal life and business life. Like what are the 3 things that, would make me end my day being like, hey, I felt good. I accomplished something. And that is the system that works for me. And it also makes me not feel super overwhelmed because there will always be more work tomorrow. If there is no more work tomorrow, then we're not filling our pipeline enough
Right.
with
Right.
stuff happening.
Exactly.
But yeah, so to reiterate, your calendar, some sort of note taking apparatus, and having systems in place to make sure that you're
Mhm.
tackling your different priorities.
Yep. Me personally, Trello. I use the free version, and I love that you can color code everything. It's
Mhm.
easy to drop in images or links, anything like that. And my favorite part is being able to drag it to the next column.
Yeah. Mhm.
And then when I have it set up, when it gets to that last column, it disappears.
Yes,
It just
definitely.
you have that sense of accomplishment. So yeah, I
Mhm.
have like anything that's in the this week column. So I can't do it by day, otherwise that's a little too much for me. But if I can also drag them in order of the importance, which is really fantastic. So if
Mhm.
you're looking for something like that, Trello. I've
Yeah.
heard Asana is great too, but
Asana, yeah. Mhm. Oh, that was the other thing I said, I forgot to say too. At the end of every day, I have a section where I have 5 things that I have to like reflect on with gratitude for the day. And then I have a section like on that same page in here, my 10 like wildly audacious goals, like the 10-year goals. And so writing all of those down and like the last slot on the bottom is like the one thing that you're going to do to continue to reach those every week. So the current goal that I'm working on is my professional certified marketer certification. I think I have until the end of April or middle of April to do that. So my goal is to complete at least one module a week. And so I actually put on my calendar like when I'm going to be doing that to make
nice,
sure it doesn't fall off. So
nice, nice. Quick plug. What is the PM? What is the
oh,
certification?
PCM. Yes. So the American Marketing Association offers the Professional Certified Marketer test, basically, and you can get in different categories. So the one I'm going for is the Digital Marketing certification with the Digital Marketing Institute. And you basically, it's self-paced modules that you can watch on different categories of digital marketing. And then you have a certain time period that you have to schedule your test
Mhm.
within. So I'm pretty sure I bought it when it was on its Black Friday sale. So I was making sure to get that 30% off, but there
Yep.
is rolling enrollment for
Yeah.
it. And then once you complete the test, if you're like me, where you like to collect letters at the back end of your name on things, I will be able to add, PCM after my MSc for my master's in strategic communications. So
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah. Add all the letters.
add all the letters.
Add them all.
Yeah.
And I'll put a link down below for the PCM if anybody is interested. I went through the digital marketing boot camp that they offered. They came to Seattle, and I got to go, and I was able to take the test, but I never did.
Ugh, bummer.
I let it lapse and everything. So I could have taken it during the part of the pandemic when I was not doing anything.
Doing anything. Yeah.
So silly me. But anyway, it's a good thing. So we've talked about, how you're finding clients, how you juggle everything, and it's so important to have things in place. Otherwise, it's a mess. So So what do you recommend, or what tips do you have for somebody who's thinking about doing this? Starting their own consulting business, whether or not it's, obviously while they're doing a full-time role, is that preferable that you do that while you're still in a role?
I mean, I am very risk averse, and so like I was just like, I don't think I personally was like, oh, will this actually work? Like, will people actually want this? Will people want me working on their stuff? And in the first year of being in business, and really more of my stuff came, towards the end of the year as I kind of understood more of my processes and what worked and what doesn't. I made 27% like the gross revenue of my company was 27% of my like actual salary. So it's a pretty big chunk
Yes.
in there. I mean, I did, spend a lot to reinvest in the business. So as I found tools that I liked, or, I had a client CRM, or, decided that I needed to use, Slack as a communication tool with contractors that I was having work with me on different clients. Like I kind of decided along the way, like, oh, this is a good tool. This is what it'll facilitate. But I also made sure as I was like collecting tools, like to really think hard, like, is this necessary? Like, does it have a function that we need? Is it going to help scale the growth? And
Mhm.
not just buying something because it looks cool on bells and whistles. Like, I have it on my list. I was like, oh, I would really love HubSpot as my email platform, but it's expensive.
Yeah,
And for
yeah.
the 5 lovely people that are on my email list, probably don't need HubSpot yet. And I know that they are mostly just friends, So
Yep.
being really realistic about the tools. But then also, I was talking to a person the other day, and they're like, wow, that is a really expensive like social media scheduling platform, but I was like, hey, it lets me schedule a bunch of stuff. It
Mhm.
lets me copy old posts and just reformat them. Like it saves so much time that it is worth that value to have it. And it's easy. It facilitates the approval process with one client. So I'm like, I no longer have to like send an email with like, this is what I'm planning for social. They can actually see
Yep.
what the LinkedIn post is going to look like, and they can just hit, yes, I approve, or you leave me notes, like,
Mhm.
oh, we need to use a different graphic or something like that.
Yeah.
But then it's all automatically, it just saves that time of the email back and forth
Mhm.
as well. So
Yeah. So how valuable is your time?
yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
And I batch a lot of processes. So, like, one of the things that's on my list to do this year, but for every service offering, like, have a proposal template and a contract and everything ready to go.
Mm.
Ask for those things that we frequently need as marketers. Be like, okay, you want an email marketing program? I need a user access point to your email. I would
Mm.
also like your Google Analytics, and having all of those things that are required ready to go, so that if Julie tomorrow you're like, hey, I want you to run my email marketing, I can be like, okay, here's the contract, here's what it
Mhm.
costs, here's everything I need. We
Yep.
can go, we can go this weekend
Yep.
basically, if you want.
Yep.
So having those ready, to not have to say no, I guess, to anybody right off.
Right. Or can you hold on 2 days,
Yes.
while I draft it? So yeah,
Mhm.
have it at the ready, and you don't have to have like the big fancy header, at the top. It's
Mhm.
who are you? How do you
Mhm.
how can we contact you? What's the proposal? Yeah. You can add all the pretty stuff later when you've got your groove going.
Mhm. Yeah, and I did add a lot of that stuff later. Or if you looked at what I would send in the beginning, it's very different than what I would send now. But those are all learning points
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
this process. So
Exactly. But having enough kind of prepared beforehand. Well, the sun is really coming out, I can tell. Like half my face is weird now.
yeah.
Um, but having some of it prepared, but you don't want to I mean, you do have to have to a point, obviously. You don't want to go so far and then you just get bored with the whole project.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Definitely.
kind of knowing your own your own patterns and what to look out for is probably important too. So
Mhm.
um yeah. Um what are you most excited about over the next year? I think you're teaching a
So
course.
yes, I was going to say, I did not say that. So, if you are planning to take the leap in 2022 and, you know, start your own freelance service-based business. I am teaching a course with another marketer who I actually know through AMA, but we've, stayed in touch. I think we met in 2017 when I first started as a volunteer. She and I are teaching a course, me from the perspective of like having a side hustle and having a full-time job, her from the perspective of, she, because of the pandemic, was laid off and went full into her freelance business. And so we are ready to teach you in 6 weeks how to launch your service-based business idea. And it's applicable for any service. So it doesn't necessarily need to be, freelance marketing, which is what both of us do. It could be like, do you have a cleaning service that you are doing, or, any, are you a car mechanic and you have this cool service idea and want to get that started? So anybody who has a service-based business can benefit, and will help you, set up your marketing plan, your strategy, define your target audiences, basically sharing everything that now we know after this year of going through,
Right.
business growth in a pandemic. I know I've talked to multiple people who, they're like, how did you start a business in the pandemic? And I was like, there was a need, and I responded to a need. And then I discovered more people have a need. I think as long as there is, an identified need there and you have some sort of expertise, I think, you can very easily start it on the side and then determine how many hours you want to work on it. Yeah. So that's another thing. So.
Yep, exactly. Besides that, is there anything else that you are anticipating over the next year that you think that we should be excited about?
Yeah. I think, the course and, just continuing business growth. I mean, I don't want to put a date on it, but I think eventually, going full time into this, growing, my agency. I do have one part-time employee right now and a few contractors that I work with, but, I think my dream is to eventually have, a full service digital marketing agency that, meets the needs of social good organizations across the world. I have like a list of, wildly big business goals, like, B Corp status eventually, like all these little things that are near and dear to my heart, to do that growth. So we'll see, where this next year takes it. And, fingers crossed, COVID doesn't wipe out weird things again. So.
Or some weird variant or something. Oh my gosh. Fingers crossed, same here. And like I said earlier, I'm excited to watch this unfold and watch your business grow. And I'm very excited. So very excited for you. Yeah. And then you and I don't know if I mentioned, but you and I will be together again on March 1st, leading up to International Women's Day. And we will be, I'll be moderating while you'll be on the panel with a few other ladies, including Jay Emmingham. We have Rebecca Adler. She's a previous president of our chapter, as well as Lydia Huan, who is a previous guest of the show. And it's how she got there. We're partnering with General Assembly, obviously PDX, AMA PDX. You guys are helping us out, as well as AMA Austin. I want to give them a shout out as well. So we're very excited on that. And then we'd be terrible AMA leaders. Me as a past president.
As a current president. Yep.
Yeah. We'd be very, very, very naughty if we didn't bring up AMA. And I just want to quick hear how you got into AMA, and what other roles you've held, and what you're proud of, what you're looking forward to this year.
Yeah, so I first got involved with the American Marketing Association because I was looking to change careers. And so I was like, you know what, just invest in yourself. Back then, membership was like double the price it is now. So anybody who's like on the fence, do it.
It used to be $300.
Yeah. Oh, I joined when it was $365 because it was $300 for national and $65 for chapter dues. And yeah, it was crazy.
Oh, and the not initiation, but the
starter fee or whatever.
Starter fee.
Yeah. yeah, it was a lot. But I was just like, hey, I want to be able to go to events. I want to meet people. I want to change jobs. And within, I would say, 6 months of doing that, I had met a new job at a networking event, and within a month was like starting a new job. So it worked what I wanted to do. But at the same time as joining, I also decided to become a volunteer. And Portland is unique. We have a program called Agency that pairs nonprofits with marketing and communications volunteers for 6 months to do pro bono project work with them. So I signed on. I was like, hey, I really want to be a project manager for this. And so, can't even remember who I talked to, who was the lead of that program at the time. And they're like, oh, you don't really have experience in this in your resume, but like, tell me why you want it. And I was like, hey, I took this what was it? Yellow belt certification at work, so I was like, I have this Lean Six Sigma thing, not using it in my current job, like would love to, use some of this project management experience. And so they're like, cool, you'll be a project manager. And that's how I got involved with Betty's 360, which I am now the board chair for. So they were the nonprofit I got paired with.
Nice.
So it all comes together. So did that. Our project, I think, ended in May of 2017, stayed on with them, stayed on the board, loved the organization. And then AMA-PDX brought me to a volunteer celebration like a year later to talk about my experience with the project. And then they were like, hey, we need somebody to co-direct this program. Do you want to join the board? And so I was the co-director of the agency program that year with Joe Dunn, who was awesome. And then, he and I recruited a bunch of nonprofits, were project managers for 2 teams. It was a very interesting year. And then the next year I was solo, being the VP of the agency program. So that's my 3rd year with AMA-PDX. And then at the end of that year, I became president-elect. And, now we know that's how you become president. So that's how I got involved. But it was really fun. One of the great things is that, at least in our chapter, we allow all of our board members and volunteers to come to our events for free. Hopefully you'll be an ambassador for all of the, different speaking events, networking events, and things that we have. And I've just met so many great folks. And even more, I think, in the pandemic, because I've been connecting with presidents across the country through Zoom in ways that we didn't pre-pandemic. So I think, there's silver linings around everything.
Absolutely.
During this time. So yeah.
That's awesome. Am I going to see you in April?
Yes, I'm planning on being there. I actually asked somebody so just so folks know, we have an annual leadership summit with the AMA, and it's been virtual these last couple of years for good reasons, but it is planned to be hybrid. And so I was asking one of the people, I was like, how many people can you actually fit there? Because there's going to be presidents who are outgoing that are going to want to come. And they're like, there should be enough room for everybody. So
right now, I mean, unfortunately, as you can imagine, out there with nonprofits, volunteerism is low, especially in our chapter. We're running about half. We definitely need another 6 to 7 more board members if you're in the Seattle area, Seattle, Tacoma, Everett, or Portland.
Yes, exactly.
Or wherever you are, get involved. But we're looking right now at 5 at least going to Chicago. So very excited. This is an event where all AMA leaders, if there's a budget for it in your chapter, just go to the Hyatt and we learn, we have fun, we party, we drink coffee and get a little crazy. And then in the last regional retreat that was in person, your chapter hosted.
You were there. Yeah.
It was. That's the last time we saw each other. Yeah. So those are always
ages ago.
It was over 2.5 years ago. And we were hoping to be the next one to host.
Someday.
Yeah. But we took the Amtrak down. It was lovely.
Yeah.
So nice. Good. So So we talked about AMA. Get involved if you're a marketer, even if you're not. There are usually some volunteer roles that you don't need to be a marketer. CMO. I'm not CMO, CTO. You want
CTO.
somebody in technology, CFO, you want somebody in finance, specifically a CPA. Um, business development or sponsorship, you want a salesperson. Volunteering, you want a recruiter.
Mhm.
So you don't have to be a marketer to get involved with AMA.
When I would say that every human being I have ever talked to, marketing tends to be a part of every single job out there.
Yep.
So, it could also just be a good space for you to be in to further your knowledge, do some networking, and get, people into your orbit that could be helpful to whatever it is you're doing in life
Yeah.
as well.
Yep. One thing I learned when I was in sales, when I sold life insurance, was your circle of influence. Who's in your COI? And you want to get different people in different skill sets. So befriend a marketer. Join your local AMA chapter. Um, as we're closing and we're talking about side hustles and things, what do we maybe not talk about, or what would you like to reiterate, or both?
Well, just maybe reiterating, like, you don't have to have a master plan to be able to start. Just get started. Like, one of the things that I did kick myself is like, oh my God, especially like in the pandemic, being like, we had a lot of extra time and, we're doom scrolling during it. Like, could have been working on some stuff, could have been making some money. So even if you have like a little inkling of an idea, like, just get started. And that, uh, like you said, the circle of influence, like, talk to people around you, tell them what you're doing. And it could be a really long process, but there's been folks that I have been talking to for years who are now signing on as clients. So, being open to that and just consistently telling your story.
Yeah.
So I will leave this out there with the world. I work with nonprofits and social good organizations. If you want to refer them to me on LinkedIn, I'm having a conversation with folks on Friday with no expectation other than teaching them the knowledge I have of being volunteering in nonprofits, and I did let them know, like, this is not going to be a sales pitch for my services. Like, I will share with you what I know. But with me sharing that, you're still the one who has to do it. So, like,
Yeah.
I am happy to share,
Yep.
but if you want me to do it for you, there's a payout to it.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Exactly.
and being open, to having those conversations, because you never know, 2-3 years down the road, they could take that really great conversation and be like, we're ready to hire, somebody to help us with this. So
Exactly. It's a long game.
it is.
Slow and steady wins the race.
It is.
Yep, exactly. Oh my gosh, there's so much. We could keep talking, honestly, for like 4 hours plus more. But we do have to cut it short, or we have to cut it now. So really, really want to thank you, Ashlan, so much for your time and sharing your knowledge with us. And I'm so looking forward to seeing you. I get to see you in March. Well, granted, it's Zoom. Get your tickets below. It's free for everyone. But I get to see you in April.
Yes.
I'm so excited. But thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And thank you to everyone out there. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. We are 9 away from our goal. I feel like Jerry Lewis. The kids. No, please subscribe if you haven't already. If you like this episode, go ahead and give it a like. Share with your colleagues, your marketing friends. We want to make this show go big. We can do that with you. So thank you all. I hope you have a great weekend. Stay warm. Thank you. Bye, Ashlan.
Thanks, Julie.